and welcome to the EEPROM 9. Today's review is of the Grand Video Console. Tools to share grand visions, or so what the box says. As can be evidenced by the not really terrible English, but there are points where perhaps they should have had one last look at the English, such as video to VGA converter for high resolution video picture. Not sure you necessarily need the word video in there, or at least put an S on picture. Makes a lot more sense that way. The sides are pretty much the same, a few basic specs. We've got remote control included by the inclusion of the red sticker. I think that's a sticker, yes it is. We have a little bit more of the English in the multimedia stuff in the description. And welcome to the world. That's fine. You have made the best choice in Grand Video Console, the VGA console for playing high resolution video picture. I'm not sure what the de-interlace part is about. It's probably like the opposite of interlacing. I don't really know much about the whole process of interlacing. But other than a few little things like that, the English is actually fairly decent. You know, plug it, resolution, plug it, you might want to put plug it in. You will extend the functions of your computer. Enjoy the game. DVD programming freely and easily. Okay, yeah, it's alright. But brownie points for sticking a PS2 as one of the example devices to connect. And of course you got a little label out for all the things in. I'm not sure why you need separate audio, because the thing kind of really has audio in, audio out. Surely you just connect your devices directly to, because you could still, it doesn't really act as an audio multiplexer for short. On the front cover we have the usual sort of generic sort of picture you get on these sorts of boxes. You've got two plastic children, a photoshopped dog. Seriously, those kids look like they're made of plastic. They probably were mannequins. But they're going to have a little trouble, once again, kudos, PS1, but they're going to have a slight problem playing it because both the video and power cables are missing. Not only just the cables to the monitor completely, just non-existent. Don't know why. But oh well, such is life. And of course we got English and all that nonsense. Let's actually stop talking about a damn box and actually talk about what's in here. Well, that failed miserably. We got instructions which are actually pretty comprehensive, well written. They make sense. I haven't looked through these into extreme detail, but from what I see, they're pretty solid instructions actually. They get across what they want, although their CPU specs are narrowly undernourished for today's technology. You know, people don't have processors in the megahertz, not unless you're a retro computer collector like me. And memory is looked at in the gigabytes now. You could get away with having gigabytes and megabytes, but yeah, you are basic. I mean, who has a hard drive which isn't in the gigabytes range? Come on. You can have the megabyte values there, but also give it the 1-up. So yeah, that doesn't make much sense. But yeah, usual sort of jazz, pretty comprehensive. You also have, if I can get it out, a remote, which we'll get onto later. The actual unit itself, which is bigger than I ever expected them to be. I expected them to be about this sort of size. You know, let's get something we can do for a good reference for the size of this thing to show how much big it. Here's a mug, a Pac-Man mug to be specific. Here's the video grandstand console next to the mug. And if we want to get real delicate on the comparison, here's a laptop dual-core processor for size reference. Here it is. It's reasonably big, but, well, I've never held one of these things before apart from this one. So, yeah, they're a little bigger than I expected. But yeah, you got your buttons, they're tactile, which is kind of like when you're really going to be pressing those, theoretically you should use the remote, but we'll get onto that. We got PC in, so you can use it alongside your VGA PC, S-Video, Composite, we got PC audio, we got hi-fi audio, and of course we got audio out. I suppose you could say it mixes that audio into one particular output, so actually I'm wrong, it does multiplex the audio, IR, VGA out, diddly squit on the bottom apart from the usual sort of nonsense stickers. We have a power supply, which if you want to use it for anything else, it is a 6 volt 800 milliamps. I haven't cracked this open to see if it's built with any quality. It does have all the markings, but it comes from China. No, it comes from Taiwan, so maybe you can trust it. And of course, they selectively provided an extra VGA cable to actually connect between this and the computer, although, you know, why not just connect it between this and this and just use the VGA cable already in the machine. Stick it in here, into the monitor, and then just, yeah, you know what I mean. Plug it in and how you choose. Let's get on to the remote. Now, remote, wonderful idea. You may notice that the battery is actually removed. You'll see why it isn't in there. So we got a nice remote. It's your usual sort of remote for this type of device. Let's grab another example of a similar sort of remote. Here we go. Here's one to my alarm clock, because it's also an iPod docking station. I've chewed it a little. You can see a bit of the PCB there. Pretty standard. Button cell battery. The problem comes with this remote is when you try to put in the battery, you see that spring? You see the problem? And then when you force it to go in, even bending everything in place, you get no output. In fact, you are getting an output, but it just doesn't work. The remote is broken. Complete pile of rubbish, the remote. So the remote is bin. So yeah, the remote's pretty worthless for this thing. So, shall we get on to the actual device plugged in and what it does operationally? I reckon so. Right, for the demo it seems more sense to start with it off, hit the power, and we should see some life come to it, and we do, and it detects our resolution and activates it. So let's activate the example device, aka my PS2. We're not pumping through the audio, recognises its PAL, and we have a video that I would say is worthy of, well, any sort of digital TV you hook it to. It is of about the same quality as the analog inputs on a standard digital TV. That is, then certainly no Trinitron CRT, but it certainly ain't unrespectable either. The current game that is demonstrating in this will become apparent soon. However, for the meantime, we shall actually run through the functions of the device and show them to you on screen. So we'll do a bit of preemptive video. Using my only spare monitor, because Mr. Favourite Dell decided to die and is awaiting on parts so I can get it operational again. I like this game. So, on it, we'll pick it up like it's thingy, because the remote's so useful. We've got a whole thing. We can select different sources, such as S-Video, which has nothing plugged in, or no signal, or just stop completely. Or, which one will this be? Back to that one. So, I guess the other one would count as VGA, wouldn't it, which acts as a pass-through. We've got power enter, which enter does nothing. So, let's go to menu, and the colour's gone weird because this is a shitty monitor type thing. Anyway, Yeah, annoying when that happens, isn't it? Come on, shitty cable. Hang on. Whoopsie doopsies. Oopsie doopsies. Yeah, the colours are still weird. That's not actually the grand video console's fault. That's the monitor. It's got a dodgy cable. So ignore the dodgy colours which have just appeared. So, our options are brightness, which we have set to... it doesn't hold your brightness settings. Well, that's disappointing. Because to be honest, I find the default setting is a little dim. So, and to get out of that, you just hit menu. Then you got contrast. No, wrong button. There we go. Which is the same thing. It was supposed. There we go. There we go. There's contrast. 50%. Nothing amazing. Then we've got colour, which is spelt wrong. Colour, please. Which is... Shall we knock the colour up and see what it does? Usual sort of jazz. As you can see, you kind of see why this monitor is a bit dodgy. Then you've got menu. Hue, which I have no clue what the hell that is, so we won't bother adjusting anything there. Then we have sharpness, which is exactly where I set it. And you can adjust it accordingly, and it goes, we'll wait for something referential. And you can see there's a significant difference. Why the hell you'd want it on the softest possible setting, I do not know. Personally, I reckon they should just be default on the sharpest possible setting. And then you got picture mode, and we've got dynamic, static, and whatnot. Menu. Resolution. You've got a total of 3 resolutions you can pick from, which are all supported by modern monitors, which is actually really good because you can pretty much use this with anything. 640 by 480. Those of you who were big on the DOS days will be familiar with that. Please don't disappear and time out. Resolution again. You can tell it's a very impromptu. 800 by 600, which we've all seen if you're computing in the 90s. And good old 1024 by 768, which is a very early 2000s resolution. What the hell just happened? Who knows? One of the many mysteries of the universe. Menu again. Frequency, because you can adjust between 60 Hz and 75. Let's change it to 75 Hz and see what it does. Well, I don't know whether that actually worked. In fact, it did. Frequency. Back to 60, I say. So yeah, pretty much. That's the standard resolutions monitors can go without having to cost you a fortune. Otherwise, they're going to cost you a fortune. Reset, which is obvious language. And that's all your motives. So yeah, not a bad little device actually. So if we go back, I wonder. Oh yes, it's definitely the monitor, alright. So yeah, interesting little thing. So, as with any review, we can't complete it until we have taken the thing apart. Before we before we take this thing apart and show you what makes it tick, we might as well address a question that might be going through some of your people's heads. Why doesn't it support widescreen? Well, the thing is with standard resolution widescreen is it's about as useful as a Catholic child protection agency. That's why it doesn't support it. So, upon that, and probably offending every single Catholic member of my audience, we crack it open, and we have a nice circuit board that is of average quality for what you'd expect. You have some inductors, and I believe those are Yeah, they look like they're probably going to be about power regulators or something. On the top we've got the real beef, we've got some RAM, we have ROM somewhere, we have the CPU. This would probably be the... Trouble is all the part numbers are really difficult to see under this lighting, so... Yeah, we've got some voltage regulators, we've got a nice clicky buttons. And it's RevD1G. You know, you only need to put a single letter or a number, that makes far more sense than that. But the manufacturer date is 0633. So this thing is actually relatively old, and the fact that I have actually been looking it up online, the only place I can find that sells it is some American thing that sells the Mark II version for $90. I don't know what that is in a real currency, so you'll have to do so. And not to offend the Aussies or anything, it's US dollars, so we are talking about, you will need to convert it to a real currency, not that silly funny money. But yeah, so all in all, if you can get hold of one, worth it if you ask me, because, well, why not? Because I've heard some horror stories about the cheaper ones, but seems to do the job. I'm going to be mounting it to the back of that monitor. I've got to sort out the cable though, again. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this review was useful to you.